بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على حبيبنا ورسولنا وكريمنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله عز وجل في كتابه العزيز: اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. وقال الله عز وجل: واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. وقال الله عز وجل في شان حبيبه مخبرا وآمرا: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله. All forms of praise and glory is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and salutations and peace be upon the noble messenger, his noble family, the noble companions, and all of those people that will follow in righteousness till the day of Qiyamah. Ameen, Ameen. Brothers and sisters, we have traversed through the childhood, the youth, the adulthood, the prophethood, and also the migration and the various battles of the Prophet ﷺ, the challenges, the trials, the tribulations, the ups and downs, all of these things in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. We've learned so much in regards to the human capacity and its ability to change, its ability to remain flexible, its ability to achieve monumental success in the face of things which seem insurmountable. However, the Prophet ﷺ, by combining his faith and combining his ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed him with, was able to conquer not only the body, the mind, but also the heart of people as well. And this is ultimately our goal as well, to win the heart of people, to show them the beauty and the essence of Islam. Yesterday we discussed the 8th year and the 9th year of Hijrah, of the Prophet ﷺ's migration, and we discussed the 19 days that he spent in Makkah al-Mukarramah after the conquest, and also the battle of Hunayn, and in the 9th year the battle of Tabuk, which really didn't take place because they had ran away. So we come to the penultimate year in the life of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the 10th year of the Hijrah of the Prophet alaihi wasallam. It's important for us to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the ability in the month of Ramadan to come together, to glorify Him, to worship Him, to praise Him, to understand the Quran, and also to thank the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who taught us so many vital lessons on how to be a good human being, how to be a citizen, how to be a friend, how to be a leader, how to be a religious worshipper, a sincere slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to be a husband, how to be a father. All of these were taught to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So thanks should be given to Allah who had sent the messenger and sent the guidance, and thanks to the messenger as well who showed us how to live the life of guidance, to live a life of acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So before we continue the penultimate year in the life of the messenger, we should remember all of these lessons that we have learned, and make sure that we act on all of these lessons of the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So we come today to discuss the final year in the life of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the 10th year of Hijrah. And this is where the two main khutbahs took place. And all of us, we remember the khutbah which is called the farewell khutbah. The khutbah that the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala performed on the Hajj that he did carried out with all of the Sahaba Ikram, the Hajj al-Wida, the last Hajj, and the first Hajj of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala. This Hajj is always embedded and etched into the life and the hearts and the mind of all the Muslims, where the Prophet ﷺ discussed with the Sahaba Ikram the last few things that the Prophet ﷺ wanted to share with them. So at the tender age of 63, so 63 years of age, the Prophet ﷺ, in the last 3 months and also in the last 3 days remaining, the Prophet ﷺ tried with every single breath that he had remaining to constantly guide the Sahaba Ikram and to reinforce the messages that he had conveyed for the last 23 years of Nubuwwah, the 13 years in Makkah al-Mukarramah and the 10 years of Medina al-Munawwarah. So the farewell khutbah is a very, very important and significant one for us to remember that this is wrongly assumed by many of us to be the final khutbah, the final sermon. We've heard about it, the final sermon that took place, when the Prophet ﷺ was there on Hajj, but this was not the final, this was the semi-final, because inshallah we'll discuss the very last khutbah, the very last sermon of the Prophet ﷺ. So in the 10th year of Hijrah, we have traversed through where Muslims at the beginning were just 1 and 10 in Makkah, then slowly turned 20 and 30, to a couple of hundred in Makkah al-Mukarramah for those 13 years. And when they went to Medina, we had 300 people in the Battle of Badr, then we had 700 people in the Battle of Uhud, and this increased to 1,400, 1,500, and to 2,000 in the Battle of Mu'tah, and then increased also to 10,000, 20,000, and finally, in the 13 years of Nubuwwah, the 13 years of the Prophet ﷺ, in the 13 years, the 23 years, in the last year of the life of Messenger ﷺ, 100,000 Sahaba Ikram, 100,000 Muslims have come and embraced the religion. Why? Through the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. They have seen how beautiful Islam is. It's very difficult to get a person to do the things the way you do it, get a person to drive the way you drive, eat the way you eat, cook the way you cook, do things the way that you do it on your computer. Everybody is used to their own ways. However, the Prophet ﷺ has shown such a beautiful message of Islam that this was the way of life. This is the best way of living. This is the best character that the person can have. This is the best way to be a husband, a best way to be a father, a best way to be a friend, a best way to be a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was this beautiful image, this beautiful representation of Islam that all of these people came running, came flying to the messenger and came into the folds of Islam. 100,000 Sahaba Ikram. Just in the 8th year of Hijrah, there's only 20 to 30,000, remember. And just within 1 year, so many people have come and they've accepted at the hands of the Prophet ﷺ. So at Hajj al-Wada, the last Hajj of the Prophet ﷺ, 100,000 Sahaba Ikram are there, as well as all of the wives of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they're all saying, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. They are all testifying to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, we are here when we are responding to your message. The message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent via the messenger, they are all there and saying, Ya Allah, we are here. We have heard your message and we have acted upon your message, and we are here to testify that there is no other God but you. And we are here and we are praising you, we are glorifying you, and you have no partner whatsoever. So this is the talbiyah, the proclamation that 100,000 Sahaba Ikram are making with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So on this particular moment, the Prophet ﷺ, remember, he always would utilize every single opportunity that would come across his way. So at this time where 100,000 Sahaba Ikram are there, he is talking to them and he asks them, do you know what day it is today? All of them know, and so does the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows as well. However, the Messenger is deliberately telling them and reminding them because the nature of man is to forget. And we forget our religious day, we forget our festivity, we forget the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we become so embroiled and busy in the dunya. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reminding them that look at where we are now, look at what day it is, and look at how we have achieved this success. The 100,000 Sahaba Ikram here, and what we have to do to achieve this particular success. We are here in the comfort of this country, in the luxury and protection of this country. Therefore, we have no excuse whatsoever to forget the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to forget our deen and not act upon our deen. Because look at what the Sahaba Ikram went through in order to achieve that particular day and that particular success. So the Sahaba Ikram, they all reply, they say, Allah Rasul A'lam, that Allah and His Messenger know best. That whatever day you choose this day to be, whatever day that you want it to be, date that you want it to be, moment that you want it to be, is entirely up to you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they left it in the hands of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and he replied, of course, this is the day of Nahar, i.e. this is the day of sacrifice. So they all remained quiet and they acknowledged that. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked them, what month is this? And they all knew that this was the month of Zulhajj. However, they all replied and they said, Allah and His Messenger, they know best. And then the Messenger asked them, what town is this as well? And they all know they're in the town, they're in the city of Makkah al-Mukarramah, yet they all remain quiet because they know that the Prophet ﷺ is trying to teach them a vital lesson. So what is that lesson? That don't forget who you are, don't forget the message, don't forget the messenger, don't forget your deen, don't just put your religion to the side, put the countries to the side, and cities to the side, and days to the side, when our time comes. But no, remember these days, because these are days of great significance, these are days of great sacrifices of the messenger and also of the Sahaba Ikram as well. So the Prophet ﷺ was reminding them of all of these things, that this is that day, this is that month, this is that city, this is that town, this is that area which is sacred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after reminding them and then realizing the importance of that day and the moment that they are living in, then the Prophet ﷺ has got their attention, and then he speaks to them and he says, verily your blood and your property are also sacred, just the way this day is sacred, just the way this city is sacred, just the way this town is sacred, and Makkah al-Mukarramah is sacred. Your blood and your property is also sacred in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, make sure that you maintain this discipline, this dignity, this honor amongst each other, that you respect each other, that you honor each other, that you take care of each other, just the way that you respect and honor this day of Hajj, you honor this day of Eid, you honor this month, you honor this area, you honor the city of Makkah al-Mukarramah. And then the Prophet ﷺ is giving them more nasiha, that don't go back into the days of ignorance, revert back to the days of ignorance. And you will see even today, unfortunately, due to our culture, due to the customs that we have gathered, we do the things which are the days of ignorance. So we end up doing those things which are against Islam, against the Sharia, and we think, so we have, it's fine. No, we should always look at what is according to the Quran, according to the Sunnah, and act upon those things and not revert back to the days of Jahiliyyah where we are fighting, disputing, lying, cheating, manipulating, and forgetting the rights and responsibilities towards each other, towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ, after reminding them, then says, fear Allah, and also fear women as well, that you have a responsibility towards your women, you have a responsibility towards your children, towards your daughters, towards your wives, towards your mothers, towards women, and therefore you must fulfill your responsibility just the way that you see that this place is sacred, this day is sacred, this moment is sacred, your blood is sacred. You must respect each other in the right way, and you must also take care of your women as well in the correct way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this obligatory upon us. This is our responsibility to fulfill to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to those people who are beneath us, whether they are our children, our family members, and our friends as well. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that, have you acknowledged that I have fulfilled my mission? And all of them, they reply, of course you have fulfilled your mission. You came with the mission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to unite us, to maintain the ties of kinship, to always maintain that which is right, to be upright, to be honest, to speak the truth, to give back that which is somebody else's property. All of these things they acknowledge that the Messenger had informed them and shared with them of that which is halal and that which is haram. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reminding them that you know exactly now what to do and what not to do. And if you go astray, then there is nobody but to blame but yourself. Similarly today, we point the finger at other people because of this, the masjid, they don't provide this service, such and such institution, they don't do this, they don't do that, however, we need to look at ourselves. Everything has been there, placed for us in the Quran and the Sunnah, and it is us who are failing in the Quran and Sunnah. The Sahaba, they acted upon this, and look at the monumental success that they achieved. So there is nobody that we can point the finger towards apart from ourselves. And that's why the Messenger asked them, have I completed my mission? And they all reply, yes, you have. So you need to ask yourself today, sitting here in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have you fulfilled your mission? Have you fulfilled your goal? Have you achieved the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent? The goal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked you to fulfill, the purpose of your existence. And if you have not done that, then it is you who is failing, not the messenger, not the Sahaba Ikram, not those people who have not shared with you, because everything is there in black and white for us to act upon. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked them, have I fulfilled my mission? And they reply, yes we have. Then he says that then you must bear witness that I have fulfilled my goal and my purpose to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they say, yes, we bear witness that you have fulfilled your goal and your mission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after grabbing their attention and making them realize the importance and the sanctity and the viability of that day, reminds them that it's equally important for them to protect each other, to honor each other, the blood, the ties, the kingship, the relationship, the message, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also fulfill all of their due rights towards their women and their children as well. And then at the end, the Prophet ﷺ says, Oh Allah, be witness, Oh Allah, be witness, Oh Allah, be witness that I have fulfilled my mission towards you. How many of us on our last breath can actually say, even before we go to sleep every single night, can actually say and claim that, oh Allah, you gave me 24 hours. Oh Allah, you gave me health, you gave me wealth, you gave me ability, you gave me iman, you gave me so much. I have done justice to that 24 hours that you have given me today. However, many of us fail on a regular basis to fulfill our daily objectives, our daily goals, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fulfill the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fulfill the rights of the deen, let alone to fulfill the rights of our parents, of our family, of our children, or of our wives. So this is what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was reminding the Sahaba that you have a great responsibility, you have a great mission to fulfill, and you must make sure that you fulfill that mission. And if you have not done so, then you will be the one who will be losing, who will be lost in this dunya and also in the hereafter. So this is that particular day, that particular moment when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. That today is the day when your deen has been completed for you. And today, even today, our deen is complete for us. We have to act upon our deen. If you want success, if you want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to succeed as a community, as individuals, as a society, as an ummah, then you have to hold fast onto the Quran and onto the Sunnah. Otherwise there is no success, because the Quran has been completed for you. The way of life has been completed for you. This is how you live, how you become a husband, how you be a father, how you be a friend, how you be a statesman, how you be a politician, how you be a citizen, how you be an honest human being. It's been told, it's been shared with you, and therefore we need to look at ourselves and see whether we are acting upon the perfected religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that I have chosen this way of life for you. Islam is the right way of life. It is the most balanced way of life, the most beautiful way of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen. And if we are not living that beauty of Islam, and if we do not find our lives as content, or we don't have any satisfaction, then it is our failings, our shortcoming, where the deen itself has been made for us in such a beautiful way and perfected for us by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this was that semi-last sermon of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where in just those couple of years after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, in the 10th year of Hijrah, 100,000 Sahaba Ikram have come and embraced Islam, because they have seen the beauty of Islam, how beautiful it is, and how it makes life so much easier. How it makes life so much easier, so much honorable, so much more loving and caring towards each other. How it changes society and transforms and reforms people as well. In the 8th year of Hijrah, the 9th year, just yesterday we were discussing, there were only 20,000, 30,000. And in this 10th year of Hijrah, 100,000 people have come and accepted. So after this monumental achievement, Prophet ﷺ addressing the Sahaba Ikram, reminding them of their responsibility, because we always want, this is my right, we tell our wife, this is my right, we tell our children, we expect things from the masjid, there should be this service, we constantly demand. We fail to look at ourselves and say, we have so much responsibility that we have failed in. We have failed in, and we need to realize that, and look at ourselves and make sure that we have fulfilled that mission, that goal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the goal of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So finally, after this Hajj, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he returns to Medina to Munawwara. Because remember, this is where his heart was. And and this is where he was attached to the people of the Ansar, to the people and inhabitants of Medina al-Munawwara. So he returns to Medina, and in the Masjid al-Nabawi he addresses the Sahaba Ikram. He says, "Oh my people, all of the people in Medina, even though some were hypocrites, some were munafiqs, and many people would try to undermine Islam, but the Prophet ﷺ would still love everybody. Why? Because he still wanted to win them over, win their hearts over. So he addressed all of them and said, "Oh my people, I am pleased with you all. I am pleased with Abu Bakr, I am pleased with Umar, I am pleased with Ali, I am pleased with Uthman, I am pleased with Talha, I am pleased with Zubayr, I am pleased with Sa'ad, I am pleased with Ibn Auf, I am pleased with all of the Muhajirin, with all of the Ansar." All of these people were those people who remained truthful, who remained steadfast and firm, and stood there for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remained obedient to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So now here in the city of Medina al-Munawwara, the Prophet ﷺ gives further nasiha to those people there, and he says, "I urge you to take care of my family and my companions. I take care of each other, and this is our responsibility. We always think about ourselves. We don't care about what's happening with our neighbors, whether it's your next door neighbor, whether it's somebody across the street, or they should do whatever they want. No, we have a responsibility, yes, immediately to our family members, but also to the entire ummah. And the ummah is the Muslim ummah, as well as all of those people that live alongside you, that live nearby you as well. They are still, in one way or another form, the ummah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they are the creation, the human beings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you treat them with respect and dignity and honor, they will come to you and be part of your family as well. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reminding them that take care of my family, take care of the Sahaba Ikram, take care of each other. Do not speak ill of each other, of any other person without any proof. And unfortunately, in this day and age, we readily, very, very readily we speak ill about other people, never, without any proof, without any just reason. We should never ever go and speak ill about any other person. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that I see all of the nations on the day of Qiyamah. He's standing there on the mimbar in Masjid al-Nabawi. He's saying, I can see at this very moment on the day of Qiyamah all of the people that have been created up until now, all of the nations that will be there, that will be brought forth before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there will be this small amount of people, and I will assume this is my nation, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, no, this is not your nation. Then there will be hundreds and thousands of people coming to Nuh alayhi salam, but they will not be from my nation as well. However, I will say that the majority of the people, remember 80 safs from 120 safs, 80 safs would be, 80 rows would be from the nation of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he says it would be from those people who have sincerely worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not those people who are Muslims by name, who come, seasonal Muslims, who come and pray the Jummah once a week, who come in the month of Ramadan, who come once a year for Eid, not the seasonal Muslims that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is talking about those Muslims who have sincerely acted upon the Quran and Sunnah and realized the beauty, inner beauty and outer beauty of Islam. Those are the people that I see, and I will be calling out on the day of Qiyamah, Ummati, Ummati, that these are my nation. Ya Allah, these are my people. Ya Allah, let these people come to me. These are my people. And on that day, the Prophet, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, will intercede for those people who gave everything that they had for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that mean? That means that every ability you have, the knowledge that you have, the experience that you have, the wealth that you have, you give it in the way of Allah. Allah doesn't need it, but what does it mean to give it in the way of Allah? You help other people, you benefit other people, you benefit your community, you benefit your society, you benefit every other human being that is there, so that they can see that this is how great a Muslim is, this is how great Islam and how beautiful Islam is as well. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying, don't just think of me, out of sight, out of mind. No, I'll be there waiting for you on the day of Qiyamah, and I will know who is my true ummati and who has just been a person who has claimed to love me, claimed to follow me, claimed to do so much in my name. You have to earn the title of being from the nation of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you only do that through perseverance, through steadfastness, through sacrifice, and through truly following in the messengers, in the footsteps of the messengers sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So after that khutbah in Makkah, in front of 100,000 Sahaba Ikram, this is the second khutbah Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gives the Sahaba Ikram, and he's telling them, I can see Jannah, I can see Jahannam, I can see this is happening, and this is what will happen on the day of Qiyamah as well. After this, as I mentioned at the beginning, in the 10th year of the Hijrah, it was roughly 3 months and 3 days where the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's health starts to deteriorate more so. And he's at the age of 63. He's at the age of 63 and he becomes more and more weak and he becomes more and more ill as well. So much so that Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and he mentions that you have become old, oh my dear beloved. This is how he addresses the Messenger, my dear Prophet, my dear beloved, you have become old. And the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala says, yes, I have become old, but my heart is still as young and is still connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even though you may become old, you still have this eagerness, this determination to do whatever you can to your very last breath. And the Messenger, he could still be retiring at home, chilling out and doing everything, but he's there trying to give everything. That's why Allah Ta'ala mentions, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say that my salah, my worship, my life, my death, my sacrifice, everything is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, our life is for our children, for our wives, for the dunya. The life of the Messenger, the life of the Sahaba, the Quran was solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's there and he is still giving counseling sessions, he's still giving nasiha, he's still teaching the Sahaba Quran what he can, even though he is ill, even though he is sick. So Jibreel alayhi salam, in the 10th year, in the 9th year of the Hijrah, when he descended from the heaven and he did Dawr is basically when Jibreel would read to the Prophet alayhi salam would listen, and then the Messenger would repeat to Jibreel alayhi salam as well, and they would recite the Quran to each other. So in the 9th year of the Hijrah, Jibreel alayhi salam, when he descended, he recited the Quran twice to the Messenger, and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam recited the Quran twice back to Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam. So the Prophet alayhi salam realized and knew that his time was near. This was an indication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his mission had been completed, which was completed in the Battle of Tabuk as well as Hunayn, and then also in the Hajjat al-Wida as well. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam realized that, and then in Hajjat al-Wida, that last verse, second last verse of Al-Yawma Akmaltu Lakum, that your deed has been completed, that is one of the last verses of the Quran, but the actual last verse of the Quran that was actually revealed to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And protect yourself against a day in which you will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is reminding the Prophet as well as all of us here today that remember, realize and protect yourself and prepare yourself for that day where you will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thereafter, after that day, every single soul shall be paid in their full for what it has earned. And the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala had given everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore the reward that he will receive will always be the best type of reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as they say in Punjabi, that the more that you put in, the more that you will receive back. And the more sacrifice that you have given for the way of Allah, the more hardship that you have endured, that is how much reward that you will receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is saying that nobody will be wrong whatsoever, no injustice shall happen to any person, that nobody will be wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is reassuring the Messenger that you have given everything, you have done everything you gave for my sake, and you will be rewarded for everything that you have given for my sake. Similarly, ask yourself that we expect Jannah, we expect the highest place in Jannah, we expect so much reward from Jannah, but ask yourself, do you really deserve it? Have you really given your life, your sacrifices in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your wealth, your time, your ability? If something happens and Salah is delayed by an extra 10-15 minutes, we say, we start timing, we've done more time today, this will not happen. Where is the sacrifice that people are willing to make for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The more that you give, the more that you receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is where the actual final verse revealed to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, reassuring him that he will be amply rewarded for all of his sacrifices that he gave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he goes and he visits the plain of Uhud, where the Sahaba they were martyred. He goes there and he visits the Sahaba that place. He goes and he revisits the place where the Battle of Badr took place, and he visits the Sahaba there as well. He also goes and he visits Jannat al-Baqi as well, and he visits the Sahaba as well. So to go there, to visit those people who have passed away, those people who have sacrificed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is nothing other than a sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And especially before he passed away, he would do this on an annual basis, go to the plains of Uhud, the plains of Badr, and especially in the Baqi on a regular basis as well. Especially just before he was passing away, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went there and he said to them, I miss you. And the Sahaba who were there with the Messenger, they said, we are here, we are with you. He said, no, I miss those who have passed away. I miss you as well, but I also miss those of my Sahaba, those of my companions, those of my ummatis who come after you as well. And he's talking about us, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he missed us. He had this yearning to be with us as well. How much of us have this yearning and this desire to be with the Messenger? There it is 1400 years ago saying, I miss my ummatis, my nation who will come even after you. Those who have gone away, those who are present, and also those people who will come after you as well. So this is the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the last few months and the last few days before he returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at this point, when the Prophet ﷺ is there in the plains of Badr, in Jannah al-Baqi, in the place of Uhud, the Prophet ﷺ, he sends the Sahaba Ikram that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given his slave an option to live forever until the day of Qiyamah. This is the Messenger ﷺ saying to the Sahaba Ikram that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a slave of his a choice to live forever until the day of Qiyamah and obviously thereafter as well, and also to take all of the treasures of the dunya. This is one option. To live until the day of Qiyamah and not die and have all of the treasures of the dunya, or to go and meet him and have the pleasure of the Jannah and meet him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to meet his Lord and to go to return back to his Lord, because no matter how long you live, no matter the treasures of this dunya, it will never be enough. The true pleasure, the true treasure, the true satisfaction and contentment is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it can only be fulfilled when you are returning back to your souls, which is back to the Baraka, back to the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the messengers, the Sahaba, because they love the Messenger so much, they are so close to him, so near to him, they try to influence the Messenger, not in a negative way, but because of their sheer love. They say, Ya Rasulullah, why don't you choose to live with us forever? This is what they say to him. Just stay with us and live with us forever. And the Prophet ﷺ says, no, I want to go and meet my Lord. I want to meet my Creator because I miss him so much. How many of us miss Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many of us miss the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? We miss our children, we miss our wives, we miss the dunya, we miss the wealth. We want to accumulate so much wealth that we can never be able to spend it in our lifetime. However, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been given the keys to the treasures of the dunya, the opportunity to live forever, but he still wants to go and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what our yearning should be, to meet Allah, to return back to Allah, and to meet the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at the fountain of Kawthar, at the Hawz al-Kawthar, to meet him on the day of Qiyamah, to be with him on the day of Qiyamah as well. So this is the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the last year of his life. So 13 days remain. From those 13 days, 10 of those days, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself, even though he's 63 years of age, he's very, very fragile and he's very, very weak and frail. The Messenger still leads the salah to the best of his ability. So he's still able to lead the salah. So for 10 days, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam leads the salah for the remaining 13 days of his life. And then after that, it's too weak to stand up. And as you know, you have to be able to stand up in order to lead the salah itself. So the Messenger appoints Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq to be the Imam. And he also mentioned that no prophet passes away, no prophet dies until he appoints an Imam to lead after him as well. So for those people who stay and claim that there was no Caliph mentioned, there was no Imam left after the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was chosen. He was chosen by the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself, which is none other than Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. So for 3 days, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala is leading the prayers, and the Messenger himself is in his hujra. So he's in the home which is closely connected to the masjid of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And every time the Messenger would remove the curtain, the he'd remove the curtain to look at the Sahaba Ikram, and whilst Abu Bakr Siddiq would be leading the prayer, the Sahaba Ikram would turn their torso to look at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because this is how much they love the Messenger and how much they yearn to be with him. And as soon as they saw the curtain move, they thought, yes, he's about to come. And Abu Bakr Siddiq would start to reverse back, go back into the sun. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would start to look at them to make sure that they are okay, and he would smile at them, and then he would indicate to Abu Bakr Siddiq to go back forward, to go forward, and then Abu Bakr Siddiq would go back at the front of the Musalla, while the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam would carry and continue with the salah that he was giving. So this is the last few days, the last 13 days, 10 days of which he led himself, and 3 days that Abu Bakr Siddiq was So finally, in the last couple of days, Prophet ﷺ, he gathers all of his wives and he seeks their permission to remain with Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. Now look at, even at this time, Prophet ﷺ still respected his wife, still consulted them, and was always just to them in every single time throughout his life. And this is very, very important for us to consider as well, that just because you're on your last breath doesn't give you the right to overlook other people's right as well. The Messenger, he asked and consulted all of his wives, and then sought their permission, and then they said, yes, you can stay with Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. And so he stayed with her for the last 3 days that he was there with her. And the Prophet ﷺ was carried by Sayyidina Ali, also by Al-Fadl, also by Ibn Abbas as well. He was carried by these people from his wife, from the home of his other wives, into the home of Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. And so this is how weak he had become, how afraid of the Prophet ﷺ had become as well. And the Messenger ﷺ, whilst he was there, he was in the embrace, in the journey, in the lap of Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. And look at how beautiful Islam is. When the Prophet ﷺ began his nubuwwah, it was Jibreel ﷺ embracing the Messenger. When the Messenger returned, it was Sayyidah Khadija al-Kubra embracing the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And now at the last time, at the last moment in the life of the Messenger, Sayyidah Aisha is still embracing the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this should remind us that look at our origins. Our origins is that of love, is that of mercy, is that of embracing. And our end is also that of love and embracing compassion as well. But this is the beauty of Islam. This is how close you should be to your Lord, how close you should be to your wife and to your family members as well. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there in the lap of Sayyidah Aisha, and she is doing dam on the Prophet. Because remember, one thing, when we have a dam the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whilst he was alive, when certain people would be ill, he would go and he would place his hand on their forehead and he would recite a dua on their forehead and blow on their forehead. Oh Allah, you are the one who cures. Oh Allah, you are the one who enables the recovery of people. Oh Allah, cure this person of their ailment. So Sayyidah Aisha, she learned this and the dua from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he used to do it as well by placing the hand on their forehead. So what she did, rather than use her own hand, she used the blessed hand of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam because she knew that that hand was more blessed. So she placed the own hand of the Prophet on his own head, and she was reading the same dua of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure the Prophet alaihi wasallam. This is the dam that we say, oh, we have a dam on every. But there is an origin to this. This is taught by the Messenger himself. So when she is doing this, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he looks at her and he smiles at her and he says, oh dear Aisha, look at how he addresses her. Oh dear Aisha, he doesn't just say, oi, girls want to be quick and with her. Oh my dear Aisha, this is how he addresses her. And this is how we need to remember how to talk to each other, to our elders, to our family members, to our wives, to our children. Look at how he used to always treat his daughter, Sayyidah Fatima. He used to stand up for her. He used to stand up for her and he used to embrace her and kiss her on the forehead. And even when he was ill at this particular age, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam still tried to get up and stand up for Sayyidah Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala when she came into the home. But anyway, coming back here, he said, oh dear Aisha, it is no use doing this now because I'm going back to my Lord, I'm going back to meet my Creator, and there's no point doing this any longer. And then Sayyidah radiallahu ta'ala realized the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala was finally going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the final couple of days before the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is about to depart. But nonetheless, he still has some energy left. He's still there, he's extremely weak, he's been carried from one home to the other, and he's been taken care of by his wife and his family. But he still has some energy left, and he wants to use this for nasiha. Use this to teach people, to remind people of the importance of their deen, of the message that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came with. So then, this is the final khutbah that actually takes place. Not the final khutbah which took place in Hajjatul Wida when he stood on the mountain and he said, this is what you need to do, and not the semi-final message that he gave when he returned in Medina. This is the final sermon of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he goes there, he's carrying on towards his pulpit in the Masjid Nabawi, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while sitting on the pulpit, on the minbar in the Masjid Nabawi, he addresses all of the Sahaba Ikram, addresses all of those people who are so fearful for the Messenger, so worried for the Messenger. He says, oh my people, do you fear for me? And they say, yes, we do fear for you. And he said, don't worry, I will meet you here. And he's pointing towards the heaven. I will meet you here, I will meet you at my house, I will meet you at the basin, I will meet you at my fountain on the day of Qiyamah. By Allah, he takes an oath, he says, by Allah, I can see it from this very place. So he's standing there, he's sitting there on the pulpit, on the minbar in Madinatul Munawwarah, and he's saying, this is where I will meet you, because I can see it very now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has removed the curtains, removed the veils, and I can see the Hawz al-Kawthar on the day of Qiyamah, and this is where I will meet you. The Messenger sallallahu ta'ala carries on and he says, "O my people," addressing them again, "O my people, I do not fear for you because of poverty." That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not leave you as a destitute. He will not leave you in poverty. So I do not fear poverty upon you, but the only thing that I fear for you is that you will start to compete with each other in the dunya. Start to compete with each other in the dunya, and as a result of you competing with each other in the dunya, you will lose yourself in the dunya. You will lose the zikr, the remembrance, and the tafakkur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will leave the Quran, you will leave the sunnah. Why? Because you will be competing and vying with each other in the dunya. The Messenger sallallahu ta'ala in this last khutbah, he says, I do not fear shirk upon you. Because shirk is that thing where you actively and willfully and independently make that intention that you are associating this human being, this statue, this thing to be an associate or to be a partner of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the definition of shirk, when you yourself actively think that this is a statue and I believe it to be God, and I am going to worship it. That is shirk. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam realized that he had completed his mission and he purified the heart and the mind of the Sahaba Ikram. So he said, by Allah, he's taking an oath from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I do not fear shirk upon you. And this is a promise of the Messenger, that till the end of time, the nation, the true nation of the Prophet ﷺ, those who follow the Quran and Sunnah will never commit shirk, never commit shirk. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I don't fear shirk. Shirk is the gravest of sins, the gravest of things that you can do, the most severe of sins that you can do. And the Messenger ﷺ said, I do not fear shirk upon you anymore. What do I fear? I fear that you will start to vie with each other, compete with each other, and go back and be absorbed into the dunya. So fear that. Keep away from the dunya. Protect yourself. Use the dunya to a means to an end, but to remain closely connected to the Quran and Sunnah. This is the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam with his last verse saying this, that don't lose each other in competing in the worldly affairs, because you will be ruined just as your ancestors were ruined. And look at us, we have lost ourselves. We are so worried about success, so worried about making money, so much that we have forgotten the Quran and Sunnah. And this is the result of our own failings. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that previously your ancestors, they were destroyed because of this. And they were at utter loss because of this. And I do not fear shirk upon you, but I fear that you start competing in the dunya and you forget the purpose of why you've been created. Then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam collectively reminds them, he says, Allah has given one of his slaves the choice. One of his slaves, the choice to either choose the dunya and to remain in the dunya and have all of the wealth and the treasures of the dunya, or to choose him and to choose the hereafter. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the slave of Allah has chosen the latter, i.e. has chosen Allah and chosen the hereafter. The Sahaba Ikram, they didn't realize that the Prophet was talking about himself. He said a slave of Allah. But Abu Bakr Siddiq, who was very, very closely connected to the Messenger and always in tune with the Messenger, he started crying about all of the messengers. So when all of the Sahaba, they just sat there, they're listening to this khutbah, but Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, he weeps and weeps and weeps and cries. The Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, then he carries on and he reassures Abu Bakr. He says, oh Abu Bakr, don't weep, don't cry. He reassures him because he knows what the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala knows as well. And then the Prophet ﷺ, to strengthen Abu Bakr Siddiq, says, all of the wealth of the Sahaba Ikram, all of the help of the Makkans, all of the help of the Ansar, they have not benefited me more than the benefit of Abu Bakr, than the property of Abu Bakr, than the help of Abu Bakr, than the wealth of Abu Bakr. So all of the help of the Muhajirs and the Ansar on one side, and the help and the support of Abu Bakr on one side, he has helped me more than all of you collectively. Because the Prophet ﷺ spoke the truth. He wasn't favoritizing Abu Bakr Siddiq in a particular way. If you look at the life of Abu Bakr Siddiq and what he gave everything for the sake of Allah. He gave everything for the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So after saying that, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that whoever owes me anything, then this is the time for you to come and take back what I owe you. If I have whipped anybody, then come back and you can whip me. Here he is, the Messenger. He's weak. He's there on the pulpit. He's saying, if I whip you, come back and you can whip me as well. If I owe you any money, come back and you can take your money as well. If I have cursed you, you come back and you can curse me as well. If I insulted you, you come and you can insult me back as well. This is the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala sallam. In his very last breath, he remained just, he remained upright, he remained equal citizen. And saying, if I bring any wrong to you, this is your opportunity, and your time to come back and take your badla. And none of the Sahaba Ikram were able to come back to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and say, you owe us this, you insulted us here, you did this, you did that. All of us, when we die, we tell our family members, but how many of us can actually say, wait a minute, I've made sure that I have not wronged people, I have not sworn at people, not insulted people, not behaved in a dishonorable way or manner. But the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had achieved that in his lifetime, and nobody was able to go and speak to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and say, you have done this wrong or that wrong or that wrong. Then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after that, he says to the Sahaba Ikram, that fear Allah in your salah. This is that the Nasiha has given them again, that make sure that you maintain your salah. And the salah is not that salah you come as a robot who will bang your head and say, yeah, that's not the salah the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is talking about. Fear Allah, make sure that your heart and your body is connected when you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear Allah in terms of your relatives as well. Give them their due right, maintain the ties of kingship. Remember the original message of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was there in Makkah, that I'm here to take you to Allah. I'm here to maintain the ties of kingship. I'm here for all of these things. The same thing that he's reminding, the way that he began is the very way that he ended. How many of us begin with something good, but then along the way we lose ourselves and we lose our principles, we lose our values and our morals as well. The Messenger is still reminding them that fear Allah in your salah, fear Allah in your relatives as well, and fear Allah also in your women as well. Be upright, be honest, be equal with your women, with those people who are beneath you as well, and take care of them. Then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he does a dua for all of those people who are there. He says, may Allah shelter you, may Allah grant you victory, may Allah protect you, and may Allah support you. This is the dua Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is giving. And then he says, remember me to all of the Muslims who come after me. This is the message the Prophet ﷺ is saying, that share my message, share my life, share my story, share everything that I did for the sake of Allah, share that with those people who will come after me as well. And remind them to the day of judgment who I was and the message that I came with, and remind them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of us have actually learned about the seerah, let them go out and share this seerah with the other people, whether family or non-family? How many of us have done that? And we have a responsibility to share the beautiful life of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with all of those people that are out there. We need to act upon the life of the Messenger before we go out. We need to act upon it before we go and propagate it as well. So this is the very last, final sermon of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where he reminds them of their duties and their responsibilities towards each other, and reminds us not to start competing in this dunya, because it will distract you and keep you away from the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and rather fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ibadat, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our relatives, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards our women as well, protect each other, guide each other, and be there for each other as well, and share the message of the Messenger with all those people that will come to the end of time. After this, which is the last khutbah of the Messenger, and he returns home, say the Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala, and she enters into the home of the Prophet ﷺ, and even though he's been carried back into his home, he tries to get up, because this is how much he loved his daughter. How many of us ever stand up for our daughters? And we expect them to stand for us, but how many of us ever stood up for our daughters? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tries to stand up, but he's too weak to stand up. She comes running to him, she kisses his hands, she kisses his feet, she kisses the forehead of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet whispers in her ear, and she starts to cry, and she becomes saddened. Then the Prophet whispers again in her ear, and then she starts to become happy, she starts to smile again. And later she's asked, why is it that first she became sad, and later you started to smile? She said, first when the Messenger told me that I'm about to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I wept, because I realized I'm losing my father. However, when he whispered in my ear and said that you will be from the first people who will be with me on the day of Qiyamah, you will be the first person who will follow me on the day of Qiyamah, then I smiled, because I was going to be back with my father as well. So this is why Sayyidah Fatima Zahra had that strength to carry on, even though imagine today your father telling you, your mother telling you that they're about to pass away, what would you go through? But the Prophet ﷺ, because of his utmost love with Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, Allah would join them together and then be together as soon as the day of Qiyamah would take place as well. How many of us will be with the Messenger ﷺ on the day of Qiyamah? If you truly love him and you act upon his sunnah and you follow in his footsteps, Wallahi Azim, I swear by by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is the promise of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the people that you love, people that you sincerely love from your heart, and you follow them throughout your life, you'll be with those people on the day of Qiyamah. You will be with those people on the day of Qiyamah. You will be alongside, standing next to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you truly have loved the Messenger alayhi wa sallam. So on Monday, the day which the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born, the Monday, the day which the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam entered into Madinatul Munawwara, and it was illuminated and enlightened with the nur of the Prophet alayhi sallam. It was a very similar Monday where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after Salat al-Fajr, passed away and returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the time of Fajr, the Prophet alayhi sallam was up, even though he was very, very ill and he was up, he was praying, worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for one last time. He returned, he removed the curtain from his home, from his window. He looked at the Sahaba Ikram, and Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and was so eager, and so the Sahaba Ikram was so eager that the narrators mentioned that they were about to break their namaz and run towards the Messenger, because this is how happy they were that they could see the Messenger after 3 days. They hadn't seen him for 3 days, and when they finally saw his jalak, and the Sahaba Ikram, they mentioned that although they were praying and worshiping towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they turned their torso and they looked at that window and they saw the blessed face of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the Messenger beautifully just did ishara with his hand to carry on, continuing, he smiled at them, and they continued with their prayer. After that, he returned the curtain, and this is when he returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the last time. This is where he saw the Sahaba Ikram. So how did it actually take place? When the Prophet ﷺ, after this moment, he was in the Jawleen, in the lap of Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, Jibreel alayhi salam, he descends from the heavens, and he descends with Malak al-Maut, the angel of death, and this is the only time when the angel of death has ever sought permission to come and take the soul of any believer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Jibreel alayhi salam, he descends and he seeks the permission of the Prophet alayhi salam to allow the Malak al-Maut to come in. And even when the Malak al-Maut comes in, look, this is the third time now. Once at the valley of Badr and the valley of Uhud, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been given a choice to stay here or return to Allah. Then in the final sermon, to given a choice again to stay there or return to Allah. And then the third time, the Malak al-Maut comes after seeking permission. The Malak al-Maut again, he first begins with the salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with you and happy with everything that you have achieved, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a choice to remain here and to live on forever, or for you to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, I want to return back to my Lord, I want to return back to my Creator, I want to be with my Creator, I want to be with my Allah, my Lord. So then the Malak al-Maut, he addresses the Prophet ﷺ and the soul of the Messenger, and he says, Oh good soul of Muhammad, Ya ayyuha an-nafs al-mutma'innah, that's what we say in Al-Quran. Oh content spirit, oh good spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh good soul, content soul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, content soul of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, get out by the will and command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for indeed your Lord is pleased with you. This is how Malak al-Maut takes the soul of the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala at that point mentioned the hand of the Messenger, it fell down. The hand of the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam fell down, and she realized that the Messenger alayhi wa sallam had returned back to Allah Almighty, and she burst into tears. And all of those people who were in the house of the Messenger as well burst into tears as well. And all of the Sahaba Ikram, as soon as they found out, they were completely paralyzed. Sayyidina Ali is described as he was completely paralyzed. He couldn't do anything, he couldn't move. Sayyidina Usman radiallahu ta'ala was so astonished that he was just bewildered, he didn't know how to react. And Sayyidina Umar, he said that if any person says the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala is dead, then I will take the sword and I will behead him at this very moment. So every particular Sahabi reacted in a different way. This wasn't because they denied that the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala would return, because they just had so much love and so much affection that it was too difficult for them to be separated from the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So this is how the Messenger alayhi wa sallam passed away. When Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala and he returns, he sees the Sahaba Ikram, he sees the state of the Sahaba Ikram, and he goes first and he kisses the forehead of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He embraces the Prophet alayhi wa sallam, and he says, let my mother and let my father be sacrificed for you, Ya Rasulullah. This is what he said, that may my mother and my father be sacrificed for you, Ya Rasulullah. The sacrifices that you have given, even if I would give my own life and the life of my mother and father, it should be nothing in comparison to the sacrifices that you have made. This is is how much love the Sahaba Ikram had for the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then after this, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, he goes into Masjid al-Nabawi and he addresses all of the Sahaba Ikram. This is a very, very important time for them to be reassured and for them to realize what has happened, because they are almost in a state of shock. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells Sayyidina Umar to sit down, and he's standing up and he's saying, whoever says anything, that's it, I'm going to kill them. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala tells him to sit down, but he doesn't listen. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he leaves him and he moves across to the other side of the Masjid al-Nabawi, and all of the Sahaba Ikram, they follow Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala and they listen to him. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, he begins and he says, if anybody amongst you used to worship Muhammad, then know that Muhammad is dead. But if anybody used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alive, He is the ever living, and He shall never die. And this is a very important statement to make, to reassure the Sahaba Ikram, and also to make that distinction, because it's very easy for them to go down the track the way that Isa alayhi salam's people did as well. The way that they started worshipping Isa alayhi salam, that clear distinction is very, very important, and Abu Bakr Siddiq realized the importance of that time. Had he not made it clear at that time, then what would have happened, we don't know. So that's why he said, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala said, know that if you worship Allah, then He is still alive, He is the ever living, and you need to carry on worshipping Him. And if you worship Muhammad, then He is dead. And none of us now, and none of us then ever worship the Prophet ﷺ, but we had this great devotion towards him, this great reverence towards him, this great affinity and love towards him. And this is why certain people show their affection in a different way. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and he recites the verse of the Quran that مَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدٌ أَبَا أَحَدٍ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, that he was just a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we are going to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So it's important for you to realize that you have to prepare for the hereafter. Nobody is going to live forever, and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has chosen the hereafter, chosen to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the verse that Abu Bakr Siddiq carried on, and he also recited as well, that if you are to turn away from the Messenger, that now that he is no longer here, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need you anymore. Because it's very easy that when somebody is there, he's your leader, he's your guide, as long as he is there, as long as he is no longer in the picture, then you lose your confidence and then you just stop in your tracks. But Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, when he read this verse, he said, don't go back on your heels. Don't go back on all the progress that you have made. The Messenger came, has fulfilled his mission, and you need to carry on with this mission and carry on for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So know that we have a great responsibility on our shoulders, and we need to carry on with the message of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. When Sayyidina Umar heard this, he fell down. He fell down, and he says that it's almost like I have never heard these verses before, even though he knew this verse. He had memorized this verse and said, the way that Abu Bakr recited it is almost like it's the first time I ever heard it, and I realized that indeed that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the created messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala told them to come together, they need to appoint a Khalifa, and then they collectively came and they all voted, and they voted for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Just a few more things before we finish. Then the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, as you know, the ghusl was performed of the Prophet, and it wasn't performed like the couple were taken off, the couple remained, the clothes remained with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Ali, Sayyidina Abbas, Al-Fadl ibn Abbas, Al-Fadl ibn Abbas, Usama bin Zayd, these are the people who did the ghusl of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, with all of his clothes on. And then the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, before he passed away, said that make sure that you do my ghusl with my clothes on, and also when you pray over me, you can pray over me in groups. So one group came from the first group, who was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq and Umar, and they prayed over them, the ladies, and then slowly the Sahaba come and they prayed over the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So now, when it comes to the actual burial of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the Sahaba, they find it extremely difficult to first of all dig a grave for the Messenger, and second of all place him into the grave, and third of all to throw dirt on the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that man who was pure in his speech, he was pure of his heart, he was pure of mind, how could they throw any dirt on the blessed skin and the blessed body of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? They couldn't come to throw this dirt. They were struggling to throw the dirt on the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then the Sahaba Ikram, they remembered that during the lifetime of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said to them that my life is good for you because I will lead you to the right path. That my life is good for you and I will lead you to the right path, and my death is also good for you because every Thursday, listen to this very carefully, I will see your deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will present your deeds to me every Thursday. And if I see goodness in your deeds, then I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your deeds and to forgive you. And if I see evil in your deeds, I will also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you for your evil deeds as well. So the hayat, the life of Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was good for us because he taught us how to live and how to live a life of honesty and integrity. And also after the life of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, know that every Thursday by the will and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deeds of those true Muslims who truly follow him, sincere in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, their deeds are presented through the Messenger, and if they are good, he prays for us, and if they are bad, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our evil deeds as well. And then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam carries on. This is the same hadith, not something which is made up. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Sahaba asked the Prophet alayhi wa sallam, will you recognize this? Because obviously they're worried that their deeds will be presented to the Messenger. So they say to him, do you recognize this, Ya Rasulullah? And he says, yes, I will recognize you then, and I'll also recognize you on the day of Qiyamah as well. And then the Sahaba carry on and they say, but will the worms not come and they will eat away at your body? Because this is the human understanding that once they are buried, the body decomposes and obviously the worms come and they eat you away. But the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, before passing away, he mentioned to the Sahaba Ikram that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden for any living thing to come to touch the body of the Messenger, even consume the body of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, let alone eat the body of any of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the messengers are alive just the way that they were alive when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them and they delivered their message to all of their nation. The messengers are alive in their graves, and our deeds are presented to the Prophet alayhi wasallam, and no vermin, nothing can touch the blessed body of Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden the earth and any vermin, any created thing to touch, let alone consume the bodies of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Finally, when they remembered all of these things, because you're in a state of shock, you don't know how to react, when they remembered this, and see how the Prophet ﷺ, that is when they finally placed him into the grave, and that is when they finally, beautifully, they didn't throw, and this is something very important for us to remember, when we bury our brothers and sisters, we should be throwing media on them, you should be placing it with your hand. This is how you should be doing it in a respectful way. If you have a spade, slowly and carefully you should be placing it on their body, and all of the Sahaba, they slowly, individually, hand by hand, they will place the media on the blessed skin of the Prophet ﷺ. Slowly, so don't throw it on those people who passed away, following the sunnah of the Sahaba Ikram, place it on the bodies of those people who passed away. And then one of the Sahabas, his name was Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. He deliberately left this ring around the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So after they had buried him, Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all the people have gone away, but then he says, I've left something by the grave. And this was just a bahana, because he wanted to go back again, and he goes and he embraces the grave of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because why? He already missed the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he said, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. These are the old words that he used. This is the name is Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. He left his ring there deliberately, so he could go back and meet the Messenger, embrace him, and also say to him, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. These are the words that he said, the last message that he said. So Anas ibn Malik, remember Anas, when the Prophet entered into Medina, and he was a very, very young lad. He was at the age of 10. For 10 years he stayed with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and when the Prophet passed away, he said when the Prophet came to Medina, he illuminated the entire city of Medina. And when the Prophet ﷺ went away, the entire city of Medina was darkened by the loss of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is how they dealt with the passing away of the Prophet ﷺ. Sayyidina Bilal was no longer able to read the azan anymore in Medina, and then he left for Syria because it was too much for him, too overwhelming, overpowering for him to say in Medina and let alone do the azan with the Prophet ﷺ. So this was the brief seerah that we have covered in the last 27, 28 days in the month of Ramadan. And the lessons that I have learned personally, I just want to share them with you, and inshallah, as you have learned many, many more things as well. The message the Prophet ﷺ came with is a revival of the human being, the revival for the earth, and the victory of goodness over evil as well. Reform yourself, become good people, good human beings. This was the Messenger ﷺ, and he achieved this over the span of 23 years through his nubuwwah, and he always looked at the human aspects of people and tried to work on them through his human experience, through planning, through revelation, and also through praying and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the key things that I have learned through the seerah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi is always remain flexible and have thorough planning in all of your affairs. Remain flexible because you'll be challenged in various ways, but have thorough planning to the best of your ability. Know that you will have to give sacrifices and you will have to endure for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to spiritually, intellectually, ethically, and politically and socially train yourself in order for you to become successful. Remember, Prophet ﷺ straddled the complexities of both of the deen and the dunya, and he had that balance. So politically, socially, ethically, morally, religiously, he had a balance, and this is what we need to regain if we want to be successful as well. Prophet ﷺ was fair in all of his dealings to all of the people, and he coexisted, he engaged and he communicated with all the people, different citizens, different civilizations, different tribes, and he guaranteed for them their rights and he fulfilled his responsibilities as well, his own and with other people as well. Prophet ﷺ always opted for peace, even though he had the opportunity for aggression or for violence. So therefore, you should always incline towards peace when you have that option in your life as well. You always believe in the rights of other people, the rights of citizens, and equal citizens were there in the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. 3 minutes left, okay, inshallah. So there's lots of more things, inshallah, that we can all learn from, but these are some of the things that I have learned from the Sayyid of the Prophet ﷺ, and I urge you to maintain this love, this devotion, and this eagerness to learn more about the Prophet ﷺ after the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, by tomorrow, the remaining videos will be uploaded to the website as well as all of the remaining notes as well. So please do go back and reflect, research, and learn more and study more, and follow sincerely in the footsteps of the Messenger. Pray for me, pray for